So, Bruce, if I can start off with you, because there was a point in your life where you were a kind of jobbing actor, living in fairly low-grade accommodation in London, I think it's fair enough to say, and presumably that's where this all kind of came from.
Yeah, it certainly did. I was, after I'd been in this opening of my career was with Zeffirelli in Romeo and Juliet, and I came back after that film to Camden Town where I lived, and I couldn't get arrested. I literally could not get a job, and I was reduced to a single light bulb that I took around the house with me. So when I went to bed at night, I had my light bulb on in the bedroom, and then for the whole session of the day where I would sit in front of an open gas oven to try and keep warm, my light bulb came downstairs with me for that. I was so desperate. I had a little portable Olivetti that I used to write short stories on, but I was so desperate for work that I remember literally going into this room that had no furniture, just bare floorboards, and an awful tangerine-coloured street light pouring light on the boards at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and sinking to my knees and praying to the God of equity or the God of Christ or any fucking God to give me a job, and I was literally on the point of yet again tears, and I started to laugh at my ridiculous predicament. And that was the genesis of thinking, oh, God, I've got to make something of this. So that's why I wrote Withnail I.
And Richard, is it really true this was the very first time you hadn't made any TV or film at this point? This was your very first kind of on-screen job?
I had done an improvised film with Gary Oldman and Ade Edmondson called Honest, Decent and True for the BBC that came out in January 1986. And Mary Sower, the casting director, had seen that. And I played a very oddball person working in advertising. And so Bruce, he'd been trying for 2 months to get somebody to play this part. That's what I was told. And then Mary Selway got me in at sort of the 11th hour and said, come and read for him. And he said, I look like a fat Dirk Bogarde.
And how do you feel about that comment?
He's a cunt.
But you lost the weight. No, he did. He was pretty porky when he came in. But what he did was when he read for me the first time he read, he threw his script at me, and said, "Fork it," brilliantly. And I thought, God, if this guy can say "fork it" like that, he can play Withnail. He certainly can. And that's true, isn't it, Richard? And that's how
but you then auditioned me for another 10 days of fucking torture, in which I thought I was standing in for the person who had got the part, because when I first arrived there, Kenneth Branagh came out, and Bill Nye shot out, and Edward Tudor Pole. So all these fuckers going. I thought, well, they're going to get the part.
They were just my friends.
Yes. Sadist.
Who'd come round for a quick drink with me.
Sadist, hence the lighter fluid of Swarfiga strength vinegar.
Yeah. And is that right? The lighter fluid was vinegar rather than water?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
and did you know about this?
No, because during the rehearsal, it was water. And then during the one take, I got that and vomited over Paul's shoes. I said he was a sadist, and I have proof.
And is it right that you had...
It's called cinema verite.
Is it right that you brought Paul in, then sacked him, and then brought him back again as well?
That's correct. Paul had a very, strong Poole accent like that. He talked like that. And I said...
Well, he's from Liverpool.
Well, I'm from fucking Broadstairs, and I don't talk like a man of Kent. But anyway, I said, Paul, you've got to get rid of this Poole accent. And he tried very hard to, and then he slipped back into it. And it so frustrated me, I'm afraid I did. I told him that I didn't want him to play the part. And some other guy came in.
Michael Maloney.
Michael Maloney, yeah. And I was going to give him the part. And he phoned his agent up. And
you gave him the part?
I did give him the part.
You gave him the part?
I'd forgotten that. I had given him the part, yeah. But he phoned his agent and he said he didn't want to play it because it was homophobic. And it's very weird seeing the film this evening. I realised how sort of old-fashioned it is in a way. You know, the I character says, "Who's the huge spade in the bath?" I would never write that line now, you know. But this was 1960, and we called trousers strides, and we called black people spades. You remember all of? Well, no, you were too young.
I'm from Swaziland. You wouldn't ever have called something a spade.
I mean, in terms
I planted that for him, by the way.
Yeah.
in terms of the Uncle Monty character, I mean, in fact, if anything, at the time, you had made him more sympathetic and less kind of stereotypical, in the sense that there was pressure on you to make him kind of camper and to conform a bit more to the stereotype of the time.
That's right, and I'm most certainly not homophobic in any which way ever. The handmaid saw we opened the film, started shooting with all the gale scenes of arrival at the cottage, and it was black, and they saw the rushes and thought it was about as funny as lung cancer, frankly. You know, they said, "What the hell is he doing?" And they all rushed up, and they said the first thing is that Uncle Monty has got to be an effeminate, effete homosexual, like who's the famous one?
Kenneth Williams.
Kenneth Williams, yeah. It's got to be like that. And there was a terrible row. And I said, "Where's the bus stop? I'm leaving now." And I really genuinely meant it. I'm going. You let me do it like I want to do it, or I'm off. And Richard was out the back, right, having hysterics.
Yeah, well, this was on the first day at lunchtime, and the producer arrived and tore the bull scene out of the script and said, "You're already over schedule and you have to close it down." I said, "I've told everybody I'm in a film now. I can't go back after half a day and tell them I'm, not in it anymore."
So just to clarify,
So I did cry.
So Handmade Films is the company that George Harrison and Dennis O'Brien created. They did Monty Python and a number of other kind of British comedies. And it was Dennis O'Brien who you were having the particular difficulty with.
Yeah, because I kept trying to explain to him that this isn't vignettes of humour. The comedy is going to be there. Trust me, Dennis, it'll be there when it's put together. But if I start trying to go for laughs, I mean, for example, if the crew ever laughed when we were shooting the movie, I'd cut instantly and do it again, because that isn't what this movie was about. The laughs were trying to get the reality of these two people, because what they do is frankly ridiculous, and some of the stuff here I'd probably cut now if I could have another go at it, you know.
I still don't completely understand that. So if the crew are laughing at what's going on, what, because you're worried that it's being overplayed and that's why they're laughing, or?
Yeah, because the point of the film is to establish this reality of these two people, that this being the life that they lived, and seeing the guy who is sadly no longer with us, he died of throat cancer, but my friend Vivian, who I kind of based the character of Withnail on, no one laughed at us. You know, they didn't think we were amusing at all. In fact, they thought we were awful bums, you know, we used to go around all the trash cans in Camden Town where we lived, getting Guinness bottles out, because he used to get 4p back on a bottle. And as soon as we had enough shopping bags filled with empty beer bottles, we'd scuttle into Unwin's, the off-licence, and get a 9 shillings and 11 pence bottle of Retsina wine. And we were kind of like loathed duo there in Camden Town. And it was Vivian's parents came from, can I digress slightly?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. They came from the Isle of Isla, where they make this amazing whiskey called Lagavulin whiskey. And the owners of the still there stopped the workmen having drams while they were working, you know, in the day. And suddenly the only electrical shop on the island is flooded with orders for spin dryers. So because these guys could no longer get at the whiskey, they were getting at the filters. And they were taking the whiskey filters home, putting them in these spin dryers, spinning them off. And the stuff that was coming out was this pure white kerosene called Yon White stuff. And so this Yon White stuff was blinding. Vivian came back one night to Camden where we lived with 2 pints of Yon White stuff that we got through and decided that what we needed to do to make our lives happier was to get rid of the pustules on the bathroom wall in this awful hovel we lived in. And so we found hammers and tools and wacky sticks and stuff, and we went in there, and Vivian was bashing. There was a picture of Laurence Olivier with pustules as Othello, with pustules coming through his face. And I had a hammer, and Vivian had this tool that he was hitting Olivier's face with, and suddenly the entire back wall of the house collapsed into the back garden, the whole wall. And we're standing there in the moonlight, literally, completely wasted. And a week later, he left to be in a play, and I was alone in this awful house.
Why didn't you put that scene in the film?
Should have done, shouldn't I? No.
Fuck yeah.
I'll put it.
I've known you 31 years. You've never told me this story. Is it true?
It is absolutely true.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
And then Richard gives one of the most amazing performances as somebody who is inebriated in the film. But you are a teetotaler. You don't drink.
No, I'm allergic to it. Yeah.
Apart from when you were researching the film.
Well, he forced me to get drunk for one night before the final day rehearsals, so that I would. He said he wanted me to have a chemical memory of what it's like to be absolutely lathered and arseholed.
You still
Again,
have that memory
sadism.
Now? You still have that memory now?
Yeah, because the doctor said to me afterwards that I could have died because you can't drink that amount if you're allergic to alcohol. So anyway, I'm here.
So no limit to what one would do for their art. I think we're kind of...
No, I'm a complete whore.
It was nothing. He had 2 glasses of vodka and a little bit of champagne. Wouldn't have touched the average English drinker. and then he was whining and spewing and crawling for the back door of the rehearsal room. I had to clean it up. True, right?
I don't know. I passed out.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, anyway.
I mean,
But you got what you wanted.
I got what I wanted. I did, yeah.
I mean, obviously we've talked about some of the things that you had to undergo in terms of creating the performance. But from your side, Bruce, do you think that coming from an acting background actually kind of helped you as a director?
Yeah, absolutely. I was not a good actor myself, right? And that's what I started out my...
That is true.
Stop it. Otherwise, I'll tell them about you-know-what.
I think let's hear about you-know-what.
No, that's what I said once to... what's the name of that person I said it to? She's a television person. Sorry, memory's shot. It's to do with my age now. I can't. Where was I?
You're telling me about being an actor and not the greatest
being an
actor.
actor, yeah.
You worked with Zeffirelli, you worked with Ken Russell.
Yeah, no, I was doing all right with it. But I actually, the last thing I ever did was with the great Francois Truffaut. And I figured at the end of that, if I couldn't enjoy being an actor with a guy as talented and smashing as him, well, I better junk it. I better stop doing it. And by then, actually, I was earning more dough writing than I was being an actor.
And your experiences with Zeffirelli are certainly referred to, or you've drawn on those in terms of the Uncle Monty and Paul McGann's character.
Yeah, I mean that whole.
I don't know if you were if there was a burglary involved or not, but
no, there was certainly minor felony.
Do you know that on his Wikipedia page, which I looked up if Franco Zeffirelli was still alive, he's 91, it says that you have portrayed him as Uncle Monty in that film. It's like this third line down. This poor fucker has an illustrious career and he's daubed your Uncle Monty.
Does it say that?
Yeah, it was a great victory.
God. He was such a bastard, Zeffirelli. I was at... I'll do this very quickly, but it's the truth. I was at drama school, came out of drama school, got cast...
Sorry.
What's in it?
thank you.
Thank you, Richard. No, it's clean, I think. Next thing, I'm on a plane out to Rome. I'd never been on a jet plane before in my life. And I'm in this amazing apartment in Via Due Micelli in the middle of Rome. And I walk in there, and there are about a dozen very, very cutely dressed men with little Gucci handbags. And Franco sort of brings me in to introduce me. I'm really not homophobic, but this was what happened to me that night. And as I walk in there, these guys with the handbags will say, "Ma Franco, guarda qui, allora, incredibile." Zeffirelli says to me, "Oh, you must be very tired. You must be very tired. You have a shower." And the next thing, I'm in the bathroom having a shower, and the fucking door opens, and there he is, standing there. "I'm going to give you a kaftan." He'd just come back from Cairo. "I'm going to give you a kaftan. It'll be beautiful, blue silk kaftan." Then he dries I put on the kaftan. Now he dries my hair. Now we go back into the room with the dozen Gucci boys, except they've all gone. And there's just me and him, and I'm on the sofa. "What do you want to drink? You like something to drink?" Bit of whiskey. And he leans over to me and says, "Are you a sponge or a stone?" So I say it's absolutely true that. And the next thing there
You
is...
offered him yourself.
I was paranoidly afraid because I was so naive, so innocent.
What happened?
Well, the kaftan
which one are
went
you?
up. What?
Which one are you?
Which one am I, a sponge or a stone? I actually said to him, "Oh, a bit of both, Franco." 'Cause that thing I was trying to get Paul to do, which he does brilliantly, with that sort of smile where it hurts to even... Anyway, so this is how naive I was. He goes... does his business, I mean, not his business, but he was sort of going for it, and this awful...
He gobbled you or bummed you?
He did neither, but he did give me a deep tonguing with this awful limb, 100 a day Stuyvesant limb down my fucking throat there, and groping and all of that. That's what I got. But this is how naive I was.
Richard, never before in the BFI have we heard such stories.
Oh, but this is ridiculous. I don't know why I'm going down this street. But what I want to tell you about is what is my naivety. Is because the producer of the film is a guy called Dyson Lovell. Next morning, Dyson is there, standing there in this beautiful Baroque hallway, and he's got white patent leather shoes on, a white patent leather belt, pink hipsters, an open blue shirt with a big bauble, gold bauble, bouncing on his chest. And I didn't know. And I went up to him and I said, oh, Dyson, you're never going to believe what happened. You're never going to believe what happened to me last night. And what happened? And I said, well, Franco, Franco said, really? With a huge ball bearing in his mouth, That's how naive I was. Anyway.
I was saying at the start about the fact that the film has kind of just, over a period of time, just become, it's developed its cult status considerably, and just continues to kind of get bigger and bigger almost. And there's a lot of kind of young people here who definitely wouldn't have been alive when the film first came out.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I was going to partly ask you the same question, but I mean, it's despite the fact it's a period piece. It's funny. It's a good script and it's good performances, and actually, it's not. It hasn't got the kind of narrative that necessarily you might get from your kind of Hollywood mainstream film, where you've got your kind of traditional beginning, middle, and end. But actually, it's a really great script. I mean, the lines in it are fantastic, aren't they?
I agree, but I still.
And was it? The lines are brilliant. On set. They agree. On set, Was there any room to kind of improvise, or was it completely... Okay, that was definitely not the case. But what I was going to ask you before was, do you still get people coming back and quoting lines from the film to you? Because people seem to know so many lines from this film. They remember big quantities of the script.
I can say on a daily basis, I don't know whether you, because you're not on the tube every day, but somebody somewhere will say something to me that either out of a truck window or on the tube or on the bus station, or I'm walking past somebody goes, "Scrubbers!" Or, it happens. So, I'm always aware that there's somebody out there who's of the faith. But Bruce loathes improvisation, and so there wasn't a comma or a full stop that was changed from the script that I had, which you then saw on the screen.
Okay, well, I'm going to open up to the audience. Obviously, there's a few people who feel that I haven't praised the script enough, so you may want to do so.
Yes, but I would have absolutely no interest in doing that. It's what it was. It's gone, and it's got to stay gone. No, not in my mind. Definitely not. I think he's asexual, actually. Withnail, I think I think the only person he loves is himself, and so that's what made the casting so. So tricky.
1-1. 1-1. Okay, we've got...
People have asked that, and not to disrespect your question, because there was that additional line that Shakespeare didn't write, nor women neither, and that is obviously, I know, people have asked me about that, say, does that mean that he doesn't love women, he only loves men, but as Bruce has said, he only loved himself, which is why he cast me. But thank you for your question. Oh yeah, cut scenes. There was only one that I'm aware of, and that was a fencing scene with a fencing mask on. Thank you. And that was cut, and that, as far as I know, is the only scene that was cut. Is that true?
I think so.
Bruce,
yeah.
nothing else?
Nothing that we shot other than that.
There was no budget to shoot. I mean, there were a whole lot more scenes.
I mean, Bruce, you had to pay. You had to pay out of your own money to some of the end scene, didn't you?
Sure. Well, the scene coming back when they drove back into London. Yeah, they wouldn't pay for it. They said, "Oh, you don't need it. We're going to cut it out." But if they'd cut that, we'd have lost all of the Danny the drug dealer scenes, because the whole thing is setting this bottle thing up and disguising that and talking about the dolls and all the rest of it, was to hide this bottle that was going to... And I never realized how brilliant that was, what you do with that bottle until... Truly.
Nanette Newman's Fairy Liquid.
What?
Nanette Newman advertised Fairy Liquid, and that's a Fairy Liquid bottle.
I think we're on different wavelengths about that. I'm just talking about when you've got the pipe in the police station.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Laurel and Hardy. Who was the... Hardy was the
big one, yeah. Laurel was
Stan Laurel looked like me.
And Stan, you looked just like Stan Laurel at that moment. Thought it was wonderful. I'd never noticed that before. I spent a lot of years writing a book about England, disguised as the book is about Jack the Ripper, but the substance of the book is about today and all of this unbelievable bollocks with Brexit and the whole stuff, and that book is very much about England today, although it's disguised as Victorian times, but it's about heading into catastrophe. When you say it was so bad then, it was horrible, those haircuts and all, and flares and all that, everything had. But, in the 60s and the 70s, there was this incredible sense of hope for young people. There were mini cars, mini skirts, a bloody silly Concorde, going over. The Beatles, the Stones, all the big British rock bands ruled the roost of the world. And now, what is the aspiration of our country now? 2.5% on some fucking stupid deal in the US to bring in chickens or something. I mean, is that the aspiration of our nation now? With these goons. He's not in here, is he? But that fucking idiot, Boris fucking Johnson. What? Oh, you're filming this? Oh, shit. I only just realised, Boris, I actually adore you and would adore an evening out with you. And no, I dare not say that.
And as you say, we are filming. I mean, the chance of any of it now being broadcast is about zero. That's fine.
Dear.
It's been a good night. And, I mean, an exceptional film. It's a film we're going to keep on celebrating for many decades to come. A huge, huge thank you to Bruce Robinson and Richard E. Grant. Thank you so much.